Hello, fellow travelers, and welcome to the Diverse Stars podcast. Today's special guest is Phillip Maira. He is the creator of the Purple Eyes Anthology, now on Kickstarter. Now, come join me as we go traversing the stars.
Hello, Mr. Maira. Thank you so much for coming to the Traversing the Stars podcast.
What's happening, Jeff?
Not too much. I'm glad to get a chance to talk about Purple Eyes. I've been hearing a lot about it.
Yeah. Super excited to chat about it. We're on day 4 of the Kickstarter launch, and things going beyond my expectations already.
Great. That's fantastic. So no sweaty palms. You got this, you feel like?
Yeah, I mean, it's not an I, it's a we. Like, it's this is an anthology, so it's all the creators coming together, spreading the word out. We've just been working so hard on this, is in like a little bubble, and now we're finally showing everyone, all the ideas and stories and art that we've been working so hard for.
So was it like a one big inhale for how long were you building up to this launch?
At least for the initial part, I'd say 3 months between having the initial, hey, open submissions, here's like the story prompt, here's all the criteria as far as dates pages, here's when people are going to get paid, here's when the pages are expected, here's when print's happening. At least for me, this is my 4th anthology, 3rd Kickstarter. I know for like anyone that's listening here, I know a lot of people are aspiring comic creators or have some type of creative drive. It's like, just if you are most likely one person in the process, and so I'm always focused on giving the most amount of information and giving the tools as early as possible to all my collaborators, because it's just going to save a lot more back and forth email wise. But as long as everyone's up front, at least especially for the comic books, like as long as you can give your page templates from the printer to the create the artist team as soon as possible, and like talk about all that stuff, then everything can kind of build from there, and you're already at a really good foundation.
So when you're, obviously once you say you're open to submissions, obviously every indie writer in the world is licking their chops going, aha. So how many submissions did you have to go through? What was kind of like the criteria for choosing which ones you wanted to go with? Was it, a particular concept idea? Was it differentiation between stories? What was the criteria?
Yeah, so let's first go a little bit back. But so this anthology, like Jeff said in the beginning, it's called Purple Eyes. And the idea is that 73 minutes before you die, your eyes turn a vibrant purple. And there's absolutely nothing you can do to resolve this. It's 100% accurate. There's no medical alleviation to fix this. There's no choices you can do. It's 100% accurate. It's humans only. And I akin it to the show The Leftovers, where it was our world and then this event happens. It wasn't like this has been a part of human history. So with all those little caveats, I had the open submission. I also, this anthology is bloomed from a short story that Sean Dicker and Justin Birch and I created. So it was easy to have something to point to and to give the vibe for the people that were potentially interested in pitching. It was like, here's the original story. It's 9 pages. You can kind of get an idea of like the tone and feel, but also, toward the end, I put some caveats or like rules or like jumping off points. I was saying like, people, some people are more daredevils, and they'll just like jump off cliffs in those those flying squirrel suits, and they think they'll be fine, but then they their eyes aren't purple, but then they like hit the side of the mountain, and then they dislocate, and like they can't use the left side of their body for the rest of their life, like things of that nature, like just giving people ideas and prompts. But yeah, as far as, I kept it open as possible as genre. The only thing I asked really was for all the creative team to be prior established. I didn't do any matchmaking, and I left it open as far as genre goes. So as long as you told me who was creating, who the creators were, kind of a feel for genre, so I can get an idea, and then the classic pitch, it was able to help out. So from there, after I think I had it open for about 6 weeks, the open pitch submissions, and we got 185 pitches. And originally, I was budgeting for about 12 stories within this, as far as paying the creators, because that was another big thing for me was I wanted to pay a fair page rate to all these creators. And I consciously made a choice to, because I'm not going to name names, but there were a few other open pitch submissions around that time that had what I would call predatory page rates. They were just extremely low for how much work they needed to be involved with, regardless if it was, I forget whatever their limitation is, but let's just say if it was like maybe a 2-page or something, the page rate that they were offering for that was still staggeringly not good, to say the least. So this Kickstarter, I'm kind of bounced around, but this Kickstarter or I should go back a tad. So we had 12 stories budgeted, and there were just so many fantastic ideas bounced between genres. There is the usual kind of actions and romances, but there was a few that were like more grounded human experiences where the purple-eyes aspect was almost like an afterthought. Not an afterthought, I should say, like it was careless, but almost like if you remove this element from the purple eyes, if you remove that fantastical element, this story is still grounded. And so those are the stories that I kind of like. And especially kind of around the time I was looking at pitches, I'm guessing a lot of people here watch The Boys on Amazon, and they had their anthology series. They had like their quick, short ones. And it was, like most people, I binged them. I watched them all. But it was interesting. The ones that like stuck out with me more were kind of the more grounded-esque ones, instead of like kind of, the more fantastical ones that were kind of just being spoofs. So then I couldn't say no to a lot of them. So I ended up being 18 stories for this anthology. And so it's just we can finally show people what we're working on. We're teasing things here, not teasing, but we're slowly revealing things here and there. I know we're going to do a big reveal for the cover somewhere in the middle, just to get people more excited. Jack Foster's doing the cover. He's doing it. He's a traditionalist, so he does, ink on paper, but he's fantastic with watercolor.
The thing is, like, I've made a few indie comic books in my time, a handful of them. And I will say I was, the creator and the writer, and I had to pay for my artist, the letter, colors, all that stuff. I will say as an indie comic book person, it's a bitch to organize and shepherd your own comic book. Now, you did an anthology with like 18 other stories. How daunting was it to keep organized 18 different creative teams? I think it was like 33 something different stories. I mean, that must have been mind-bogglingly difficult.
Yeah. So, like I said, this is kind of a slow projection of my skills. Like this is my 4th anthology. All the other ones were slightly different. They were all stories that I wrote, and I collaborated with artists from all over the world. And each one of those had various sizes of creative teams. So it was just me as the solo writer, but then I collaborated with obviously colorists and illustrationists, or artists and letterers. So those were kind of they were around, each one had about 10 different creators that I collaborated with for the various different stories. Each one had about 6 to 7 stories in it, because that's what I was able to produce within a year. And so like this one, it is a lot larger one. And so it kind of harkens back to what I was discussing before, was that it's just giving everyone as much information as possible, but also I should also mention, like, giving them space to type of kind of like tell you what they want, like kind of play. So long story short is like I created like a shared Google folder for everyone to that I personally put things on, things that I know would be helpful, but also put shared spaces, like just documents for people to put their ideas with, because one of the key parts of this anthology, like it's a pretty cool, interesting, get your brain thinking type of pitch, like a sales pitch and a story prompt. But the big unique thing on top of that I haven't seen really done in indie comics is that within this anthology, all the stories are going to have some type of tangential link to each other. And so one of the key things that we've been working on as a group, we've been trying to at least meet once a week via Zoom and just have like a brainstorming, bouncing ideas off session of how to link some of these stories. So like I'm not going to spoil anything, but I'm going to give a couple examples, but not ones that are actually in the book. But like say the main character of the second story is the sibling of like the 12th story, and you can kind of like play around and see that stuff. And we're trying to figure out ways to, with all their artistic styles, try to figure out more universal visual key points as far as like putting stories that are in the same city and like putting landmarks in the background to be like, oh, that's just that story happened, and now this story is like on the other side of town. Or we're trying to figure out like ways to have characters bounce between different stories, and so that's coming up with that visual language of like a unique piece of jewelry, or this person wears a badass jacket type of thing, so that's who that is. So that's been fun, but that's also, like I said, building a space for people, because we have a shared folder with character concepts, but also like a doc so people can play around. I will give out one type of like kind of teaser, but one of the stories is about a musician or a musical producer. And so the musical producer, part of his, if you sign up to his record company, is that if you not contract, it's not a disease, but if you have the purple eyes during when you're contracted to them, then you're allotted before you perish, you're supposed to give and record a song within that time frame, or else you lose a lot of rights and revenue to your estate or your loved ones. So it's an interesting premise, but the idea is that gives us a fertile ground of like just band names and musicians. So everyone's been trying to like put the different musicians on like band shirts and like posters, like music videos and stuff. So it's been really fun. But I mean, to kind of just go back to it, like the pure heart of it is everyone's super excited and just trying to, like, in a good way, one up each other, because it's just going to make the book that much better.
Well, like I said, I think the 73-minute clock thing is a fascinating idea. And why I think it's such a great twist is that it kind of, when you think about what would you do the last 73 minutes, I kind of feel like that kind of reveals the true nature of the individual. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like what you would do in your last minutes, knowing those are your last minutes, no matter what, I think kind of really reveals what kind of person you are. And, when you're thinking about 73 minutes, did it make you think about what you would do your last 73 minutes?
Yeah, of course. Because I mean, I've been with this idea and premise for, not quite a year, but yeah. I mean, if I had the peak amount of time, like if I knew at that mark when my eyes started transitioning, I would try just to be with my wife and to be like hold her. At this point in life, we don't have any children, but like it would just to hold her and love her and like just keep telling her how much I love her, and then contact my immediate family via phone. But yeah, I mean, that's most likely it. I mean, I've thought about this, but it's also in the same sense, like that's the game plan. Like I can say that, but like being in pure panic mode and reactionary mode, and you're just like, oh, damn it. You're just like, you don't know.
I think that's a great answer, especially if your wife does listen to the podcast. That is probably the best, most safe answer humanly possible. The wrong answer would be get a hooker. So the right answer is certainly love my wife. And in that case, good job with that answer.
There is kind of like slide into it, but like there is a really good story about like a love club type of thing. Like you got only so much time left, and so you can just do whatever hedonist things you want. And yeah, the pencils haven't come in from that, but that's going to be a fun one.
Well, I think another thing interesting about the 73-minute clock is that, at least to my mind, I mean, I might be 100% wrong, but to my mind, it kind of brings up an interesting, potentially theological question. Because something must be ticking that 73-minute clock on you when the purple eyes pop up. Do the stories explore that, or is that something one day you're going to explore in a future tale, or was there conversations about it?
No, so there were pitches that tried to explain it, but they didn't get in the book because, like I said, it's more of a grounded. I did receive pitches that tried almost solving it, like it was like a logical problem, or spiritual awakening. But the stories that were in this book are more focused on the grounded, even though there is a story that's I guess almost slightly on that focus where I forget what her last name. So Valeria is a Chile artist, and she's writing and drawing almost the experience of the moments post death. And so regardless of whatever you think that is, so she's gonna have it more ambiguous, whether it be it's that moment that you transition to whatever your post belief of an afterlife is, or that the moment between rebirth and reincarnation. So there's those elements of supernatural, but as far as one of the key not points, one of the key like jumping off points that I put in one of the pitches is like thinking of it as a broader scale of, some people thought of it. I'm not saying this was true or not, but like there was people thought, yes, it proved some type of version of fate, whatever your belief system calls it, or whatever it's represented as, but fate, that everything is predetermined. And then there was another not logical thought, but another strand of thought that it was a representation of almost like a collective unconscious. Like this is a physiological way that humans are representing known things and giving away information to each other in a more direct way. And so that was an interesting thing that I was trying to explore mentally before I posited it to everyone. But I was thinking like, well, that might be an interesting take on it, but then there's also things that are beyond the human experience and human knowledge. So like say if there's like a natural disaster coming. So, if you're in a natural disaster, it's something that the human body can't really know, like how powerful this tornado and how quick this tornado is going to come to ravage you. So to have that precision of that, 73 minutes. So it works, like something like that would work if there was more ambiguity. But I tried having that precision, like I said, of 73 minutes kind of gives it that universality feeling, but also gives it the type of thing that it happens to everyone within the world. It's not like you can, time is a construct that us humans just give meaning to. So it's not like, oh, I have 73 minutes left. Oh, my doggy. It's not like you have 73 minutes left to live and you just start going on a really fast plane and hopping time zones. It doesn't work like that because.
So once again, the 73-minute clock, and that's something that every person in the world potentially has to deal with. If not with themselves, but with somebody else. What is the impact on society at large with this thing out there? And is it a recent development or has it always been there?
I never really hammered it down, but it's almost like I said, I really enjoy The Leftovers. So it'd almost be, let's just say like within the last 10 years, this is how society, now society has to deal with this. So the stories I tried choosing had to play with a concept in various different ways. And one of the ones that like really took me not aback, but like, pulled me in actually. So Raymond, she came up with a pitch where it was the day-to-day medical, like frontline medical worker, like in the hospital. And there's so many pitches prior to hers that were researchers in the medical field trying, like I said, to make a logical puzzle and like try to cure this. And the punchline was they died before they can get their notes, done. But hers was right away. It was like, there's a nurse working at the ER, and in this, she thought about it, like, in this world, you don't assist people with purple eyes because they're medical liabilities. Their loved ones are going to be furious, and they can come back and try to sue you for any type of malpractice, or you didn't help them enough, or you helped them too much. And this is just more of more of just like a big target. So yeah, she has a story about that. And then one of her patients, I'm not going to give it away, but yeah, one of her patients does get purple eyes, and so she has to make a decision. But just thinking that in depth, and then also after speaking with her, she's pulling stuff from the family members that are in the medical profession. So she's just making even that much more grounded, because I told her just use the medical jargon. Like, if people aren't going to get upset if they're just like, oh, that's a long word in Latin. Like, it's just keep going on. But just thinking about that, I kind of talked about like the Love Club type of stuff. There was, I'm trying to think if there was another really, because most of them were very grounded stories, and the purple eyes is just an element of that story. But everyone just, like I said, trying to fill in the aspects of what society would be like.
I mean, it sounds like a fascinating story, and I'm really intrigued by it all. Very much intrigued. So where did the idea come from for the purple eyes? Where did that first originate with you?
Yeah, it came from two disparate places. I think it's just a logical extension of the stories that I've been continuously writing that are, fill the pages of the Crackle anthologies, where most of my stories I write are more contemplations on mortality, people's legacy, the choices we make, the things we leave behind, and realizing that the things we leave behind is what we're like right now we're building something to somewhere type of thing. And that's what a lot of my stories are. So then I'm always, I grew, well, my comics language is based off of like the Vertigos and the early images. So like I'm always trying to add those supernatural-esque elements, because this is still comics. Like, you can do whatever, you can do anything. Like, it's comics, it's words and pictures, it's unlimited. So yeah, why don't you just do something weird also? So I have that idea of mortality. I was trying to think of a good way to have a more representation of a more visual representation of mortality. And I was, I did different kind of, I didn't want a more, I don't know, like almost like an avatar. Like, I did like a ghost story of like a physical representation. So I want to try to do like another representation, but I didn't want to do like a ghost. And I don't know where, but like, I just kind of woke up and I had like just the idea of like someone's eyes changing, like the eyes is the window to the soul. And then I don't like, it sounds like I'm BSing, but like, no, it's like someone's like, all right, well, it's going to be purple, because I've never seen someone have purple. And then like I researched it, and like, yeah, that's why I've never seen anyone have purple eyes, because it's just like not a natural color. And just from there, it was kind of the rules kind of came abruptly. I was playing with a hyper minimum time frame, and I just kind of landed on 73. I just you know, to tell you how the sausage is made, it just kind of like looked interesting. Like it has that. I haven't looked at it yet, but it just has like that kind of like numerology-esque feel to it. Like it's a prime number. It's 7 3, which equals 10, which is, you know, a whole number, and so it's just like it had this thing, but it was also just this, like I said, hyper limiting time to exist. Time to exist consciously. But yeah. And then the pieces kind of just started to come together, and then, you know, with like everyone else that hears about this concept, your brain just goes into various different directions, either personally or just like, oh, that'd be cool, like if this happened in this world. But for me, you know, I described in the beginning of the podcast that this whole anthology is from an original, like a story that was already pre-made, that Sean Dicker and Justin Birch and I created. So I try it with those guys probably about once a week. And during one of those chats, I mentioned to Sean, like, you know, I was mentioning the group, and I mentioned that, like, I had the school premise, and I had an idea for a character who was very young, a young, most likely boy, and he, you know, just like in our world, like death is almost a reactionary thing that you teach your children. It's, you know, it's like grandma's not going to be here anymore type of thing. And so I was thinking about that as far as, like, even though this Purple Eyes is like, and now I'm thinking about it, like we're watching the stories of the first generation of the people learning how to, you know, learning these rules. And so they themselves, like the parents, haven't taught the son this yet. And so I was thinking, like, oh, what happens if it's a kid that kind of loosely knows the importance of this, and he gets the purple eyes. And then I was thinking about that, and I was thinking about like a young woman, like, yeah, basically a young girl, like around 10, 11 years old, who's already obsessed with her looks, like who's already has that societal pressures about how you appear, how you appear in the world, but added the layer of her being hyper frightful and fearful of getting purple eyes. So she's constantly looking at herself in a pocket mirror, checking her eyes. It's giving her anxiety, and even at this young age, she's developing horrible habits, how to navigate the world. So I had those two happy ideas, and I kind of mentioned, I said it just how I said it now, and Sean's like, how about if they're siblings, maybe put them in like a rural area, because the idea is that, the story, if it's a short story, you don't want to add too many characters. So we just put them in a rural area and gave them an excuse why their parents aren't around, type of thing. So it's just these two characters, not dealing with, but like, and kind of embracing right away with the situation, trying to make it the best as possible, the last moments of life, and having that grounded as kids and siblings. And like I said, it was something we're extremely proud of. And for everyone that's listening that is in comics, like, and my main thing is short stories, at least at this part in my creation and career, is short stories. And one thing that I always focus on is that the story needs to have a beginning, middle, and end, and be read and be self-sustained. And you want the reader wanting more, but you and the artist should all put everything down on put your heart and soul onto the page, and your skill, and if you do get that urge, or you do think you can expand, then that's fine. But do not, at least for me, I do not try to leave cliffhanger. I mean, not try, but I don't do cliffhanger endings, or just some type of enticing type of thing. So this anthology, as mentioned, it was based off of a pre-existing story, but as I said in the beginning of the interview, like it bloomed. So like those characters aren't popping up again. Like it's the world itself and what the world has to offer is what we and the 32 other creators are coming together to just vehemently and like with smiles on our faces just show everyone what we've been creating.
I mean, like I said, I really love the idea, and like you mentioned, it's launched on Kickstarter. It's out now, correct? It's been a couple of days out. How long is it running for?
June 15th. And
June
then
15th.
yeah, it's crazy. I was looking at my schedule, and the day that June 15th, when this Kickstarter ends, and it hopefully end with some crazy stretch goals that we surpass everything. But that's 1 year to the day. Like June 15th was when I launched my first Kickstarter a year ago. So I'll be finishing my third Kickstarter in less than a year, or basically on a year. So it's, I'm here to stay in indie comics, and I keep creating these awesome, unique stories with beyond fantastic artists that I can't believe we get to hang out and create something completely new. But yeah, just super excited, Jeff.
So, well, like I said, and you should be. Like I said, you're doing really well. With just 2 days in, I think you're closing out here at 17% of your goal already. What are some of your favorite rewards on this campaign?
Yeah, we've been trying to figure out unique things that we can do the best. So one of the ideas that we had, that Devaki had, she thought of using what we call death cards, and the death cards are just posted size notes or postcard size illustrations of death with a purple flower. And so we're leaving it up to our artist's interpretation of, do you want to do something spooky? Do you, because it's death, like Grim Reaper, or do you want to do like something comedic? Do you want to do like a pop culture mashup? Like, but the incentivized is that you don't know who you're going to get. So it's only $15. You get an original piece of art, and you just don't know who you're going to get. So when the campaign's over with and you've purchased the death card, then I get to play. That's where I get to play matchmaker, and I get to just randomly put stuff in the post. And the other one that was really a great idea that Roberto Debukes, goes by Rad Pencils on all the social media. He had a pretty brilliant idea. We're going to do your standard commissions, ink on paper, your choice of whatever IP character you want, whatever movie or TV or comic or manga. And, he had an idea of a twist of like, all right, we'll do the ink on paper, but then we'll color it in, and the only color that the artist will use is purple. So the example he said was like doing the Green Goblin, and then get that vibrant purple outfit, because it just gives that extra uniqueness. Especially when you hang it on the wall and you're like, oh, you can see it across the room. Yeah, now I'm thinking about it. Yeah, because there's probably some science with it, because Roy G. Biv. So the violet's already on that one end of the spectrum compared to the red. So maybe it does something in the in the brain, just like, because it's just that much. That's the limit type of thing of that part of the color spectrum. So yeah, I haven't thought about that either. There's probably some science people out there that can tell me more how actually Purpleize is super rare or something. I don't know, but we're excited.
So when the anthology is all done, which I get the feeling it's going to complete its goal, and my listeners better help out, guys, pledge. When it's completed, how would the comic book be distributed, and are there plans for a sequel already?
Yeah, so I mean, those are some layup questions, but as I said, like, I scheduled everything. So the ideal is to get once Kickstarter's done, they send over the money. I send over the money to all the creative teams. Everyone starts going. They have about, I gotta double check the schedule, but it's about two and a half to 3 months of arting, doing art, and then from there, whenever I get the pages in, I'll slowly start formatting those into what needs to fit the printer. And I'm working with the same printer I've worked with for my whole creative career. So this is my 10th printing with them. And they're phenomenal. They're Comics Wellspring over in Michigan. So I've wisely padded a couple 2 weeks, 1 week spaces in between each of the various stages of creation for wiggle room, because I know anything can happen, especially with all these creators. Things are going to life things happen, and so the idea, and with the printing too, like I gave wiggle room with the printing, and so we will get this into people's hands by the end of the year. So that's why we try to incentivize some of the personalized or custom sketches, because whatever your year-end celebration, whether it's Hanukkah or Christmas or just New Year's, you could get a nice you can gift someone a really nice personalized gift. And yeah, same thing with the books. So that's at the end of the year. We'll send them all out, and ideally within late January, February 2023, we're going to start pre-production, and same thing, have open pitch submission questions for volume 2. And I mentioned this on another podcast, so I can mention it here. But yeah, I mean, fingers crossed, the big plan forward, my Kevin Feige type of schedule is that within the idea is to get three of these books, and then on the third Kickstarter have a huge reward for a big omnibus type of thing, because as mentioned with all the linking stories, there are aspects that they're open-ended, or there's plot points and threads that we have that are open-ended, because we could either force them and make them connect to other stories or not. So one of the key things is there's a story of someone that dies naturally of natural old age and health. But a key part of that story is that he has a pen pal, a lifelong pen pal. And we're trying to find out ways to, who's receiving that letter, his dying letter. But we just couldn't do it, because we're well, most of these characters are somewhat young, within, between the ages of 20 and 40. So then we have this one character that's in the higher 80s. So it seemed kind of forced. But talking with him, we're well, I'm going to butcher his last name, but Sky Berggren, he's writing and drawing that story, and it's purely him. So after talking, we're he'll just come back and for volume 2 and show, because he once we're all right, well, it'll just be a volume 2 story. And then he's then that just got his brain going, okay, well now that frees up, so then he can just, now he's well, now I can think about that. So the idea is that once volume 3, and we get a big omnibus, there's going to be all these tangential threads, and plot points and characters, everything can go around, because we're giving us, I guess we're leaving some things open, but we're all creators. We all have these brilliant ideas. So once the book is finally out and in print, I know that readers are gonna be intuitive in seeing all the things that we've worked so hard at and try to hide in a fun way, like a treasure map type of hunt. But they're also going to infer things that we didn't consciously put into these stories. And so you just expound that into a greater with 3 books, with even more creators, and just more people, like I said, just trying to one up each other, because this is a passion project, but the reason is it makes us passionate. Like, we just want to do this cool thing that, frankly, I really don't. I mean, someone else, I don't want to sound like an asshole, but like, someone can tell me, like, is there something equivalent or similar to this? Because to me, I'm unaware. I mean, I'm not trying to be like, I have this unique idea. It's just like, is there, I have not seen it yet in indie comics to have this massive amount of collaboration trying to basically build this world. So, which makes me even more like Kevin Feige, where I'm just trying to like just have all these multiple things going on.
Well, like I said, it sounds absolutely awesome to me, and I'm definitely now motivated for your next volume. I'm definitely submitting something because it sounds freaking awesome.
Yeah.
But I appreciate Mr. Maira, you speaking with me. Purple Eye sounds awesome. My listeners, please pledge to it. Get it moving. You have till June 15th, but do it sooner. We want stretch goals. Thank you so much for talking with me. Have a fantastic night.
Thanks, Jeff. This was wonderful.